You're tired of feeling like you're just never quite enough. We have this voice in our head that can be our biggest critic, and it can be really loud, and it can be exhausting to hear it. But the surprising part is there's a reason why our brains default to negative self-talk. And once you understand why that is, it's easier to start making that shift. And this is something that I struggle with. I've always been very hard on myself, always pushing myself, feeling like whatever I'm doing isn't enough or I'm not enough. But it's something I've been working really hard to change. And in this video, I'm going to share some things that will start shifting that inner voice out of that critical mindset and into something that's more loving, supportive, and compassionate. First, we need to understand the impact of negative self-talk and why it matters. So negative self-talk isn't just annoying. It actually is wiring our brains to expect failures. So instead of growing, it's causing us to shrink in on ourselves. And it's causing us to expect failure. It can also contribute to anxiety and depression. It chips away at our confidence, and it can even affect our physical health. I want you to take a minute to think about your own negative self-talk, and even pause the video if you need to. Think about those negative comments that you make towards yourself. Some of them might come into your mind immediately because you say them often, but some you might not even be aware of. You might not even know how negative your self-talk really can be. But the thing is, the more you're aware of it, you'll start to catch yourself. And when you catch yourself, you can start reframing those thoughts into something more positive. I'll share a few examples of things that I mean. Here are a few common themes and thought patterns to look out for. If you're a perfectionist, you might think something along the lines of, if I'm not perfect, I've failed. If you get caught up in the comparison game, you might have thoughts like, there's so much more successful or attractive or confident than me. If you suffer from self-doubt, you may think something like, I'll never be good at this, so why even bother trying? Do any of these sound familiar to you? If so, trust me, you are not alone. Here's the thing. Our brains are actually wired to focus on negativity. It's called negativity bias. And negativity bias is what kept our ancestors alive many, many, many years ago because it helped keep them alert to danger. But today, what that means is that we are more likely to remember that one negative comment than all the positive ones. Every time we think a negative thought, we are just reinforcing and creating this pathway. It's kind of like if you're walking in the forest and you walk the same trail over and over and over, or if you're driving to work every day back and forth, the same route, it becomes automatic. But the good news is our brains can change, something called neuroplasticity. So if we catch those negative thoughts and we reframe them into more compassionate ones, we can actually rewire our brain. Now, it takes time, it takes practice, but over time of doing these things, you can rewire your brain so that these kind, compassionate, positive thoughts become your new normal. Now, you're probably wondering how to do that. So let me share a few steps to get you started. Because not only do you need to learn how to identify these negative thoughts, but also how to challenge them. The first step is becoming aware of these negative thoughts. You can do this through mindfulness or journaling. Just really begin noticing when that inner critic comes into play. Try journaling a few sentences when you catch a negative phrase, or especially if you go into a negative spiral, and look at what triggered it. What are you saying to yourself? How does it feel in your body? And just spend a little time journaling about this. The next step is to ask yourself, is this actually true? Most of our negative thoughts are assumptions or fear-based projections. We can play these stories out in our head and even these conversations that are completely our own creation. There might not be any fact in it. So to help determine if that's what's happening, ask yourself, where's the evidence? Or what would I say to a friend thinking this? And even, ask yourself, is this always true or just sometimes? The last step is to reframe the negative thought into something more compassionate. And this can take some practice. For an example, instead of saying, I'm terrible at public speaking, try something like, I'm learning how to feel more comfortable sharing my voice, and that's a brave thing. You're not lying to yourself. You're just choosing a more compassionate and a more accurate truth. So what do you do when you start recognizing and reframing these old thought patterns? You start building a foundation for self-compassion, one tiny step at a time. And this isn't about pretending that everything is perfect and everything's magical and practicing toxic positivity where you act like everything is sunshine and rainbows. It's about meeting yourself where you are at this point in time and being kind and compassionate, and also recognizing the growth and where you're at. And that might look like speaking to yourself kinder when you've made a mistake instead of spiraling into shame, or allowing yourself time to rest even if you feel you haven't earned it. It could even be journaling from the perspective of your future self and looking back, knowing that what you're doing is already your best. It's about creating a new inner voice, one that is supportive and nurturing, and it helps you grow rather than punishing you for not being further along. It may even feel silly at first when you're saying these kind things to yourself, but what you're doing is you're creating that pathway for these new neural thought patterns. You're creating new defaults, ones that serve you rather than sabotage you. So as you move through the week, I want you to try one thing. Just catch yourself in one moment where you would normally jump into critical mode and just try to soften it. See how you can reframe your thoughts. Maybe it will help if you speak to yourself like you would a younger version of you, or maybe how you would speak to a loved one or a close friend or even a child. And just notice that shift. See how it feels different in your body. See how your emotions shift around it. In the next video, we'll go deeper with how to heal your inner critic. You'll learn more about where it came from, what its role is, and how to shift the relationship dynamic without feeling like you're fighting against yourself. So stick with me, because the more you learn to show yourself love, the more you can heal on a deep soul level. I'll see you next time.